Every life has a story, and every story is worth sharing. Your story, my story, and our story speak of victory and defeat, joy and sorrow, resilience and vulnerability. They are not just our story, they are Christ's story in us. They are Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
Welcome to Kingdom Stories from Down Under. Natanael here with a good friend of mine who has brought to us one of the most inspiring stories because he brought to Australia something really, really beautiful. We're talking about Refresh Water. Refresh Water is a water that you find in the offices in many, many places in Australia, and we are familiar with this brand, but most people don't know who sits behind this brand and what the story is behind the brand and what the story is behind the man behind the brand. And tonight we're privileged at Kingdom Stories from Down Under to have Heng. Henry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Natanael.
Now, Refresh Water, we'll talk about that a bit later on, but obviously that's what a lot of people in Perth know you as a businessman by. Yeah. But those people who are friends with you, they also know you from many, many other situations and many other circles. Full gospel breakfasts and full gospel businessman.
Yes.
Grace City Church.
Yes.
Edith County University.
Yeah.
And of course Family First, where you also ran as a candidate for a while.
Yes.
Wow, a lot of things. Yeah. How do you juggle everything?
Well, I've always been active since I was young and came to the Lord and got invited to leadership when I was young. So I sat on the first church committee at 17 and I have always been active.
You pretty much sat, you didn't say anything. That's right. You knew how not to say anything, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Singapore?
I grew up in Singapore. I was born there. My parents migrated from China actually. So
themselves?
Yes, they migrated from China, met in Singapore.
And that was common. A lot of Chinese were migrating into Malaysia and Singapore.
Yes.
This was in the 40s, in the 50s?
Yeah, in the 40s, just before the war.
The Second World War?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it difficult for them to come to Singapore?
I'm not too sure. They went on the boat. Not much of a chance to fly at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, they both came separately on the boat and were introduced by mutual friends. Yeah.
So they married in Singapore?
Yes.
And they had 9 children?
Yes, 9 children. Very big family. Well, I guess during those times there wasn't such thing as family planning, so you don't have much of a choice.
But they also wanted, I assume, to have children.
Yeah.
And where are you in the 9 pack?
I'm in the middle.
Okay.
5 older than me and 3 younger than me.
And what was your dad doing, as a businessman or as a employee?
He was a businessman, doing a lot of import and export.
From China?
From China, from Thailand, and so he travels.
What was he importing?
Yeah, he has done different things, vegetable. Yeah, one time Singapore actually have vegetable imported from even Taiwan.
Yeah. And you grew up in a house or in an apartment?
In an apartment.
In an apartment. And I understand that you never actually had your own bed until you got married.
Yes, my wife is very proud of that. See, because of her, I got my bed. Well, we have coming from such a big family, living in only a government flat with government apartment with 2 bedrooms.
Yes.
So I roll up a mattress at night, sleep on the living room, and when I wake up, I just roll it up and put it away.
And how many of you were in the living room?
Can't remember now, but I guess the youngest ones will have to sleep outside.
And how would you study? How would you write your homework? And
well, I guess you just got to make do, and nowadays people are spoiled.
Study room, bedroom, living room, activity room, games room.
But now we just have to cram where you can and find whatever space you can do your homework.
Did you love being at home with the kids, with the family?
We are close. The family is close, so we grew up together, and I goes back Singapore at least once a year until COVID hit, and sometimes as many as 3 or 4 times because of business trips as well. We still catch up with my siblings, and
Are they all in Singapore or some of them in Australia?
3 of them has passed on, but one is in Los Angeles, so the rest are still in Singapore.
It's always nice to go back, isn't it?
Yes.
You're never bored. You can never stay in a hotel.
Thankfully, one of my sister always has a guest room for us. So normally when I'm in Singapore, I'll stay with my sister. Well, actually, a lot of them has guest room for us, but I tend to stay with one sister more than the others. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And your parents, were they Buddhists or were they not even practicing anything?
They are more Taoist than Buddhist in the sense that they don't actually practice the Buddhist faith, but they do pray to some idols as well as ancestral and all those things. And more my mom in the early days, and then my dad, because of business, started going to China at one stage, and he said that China is communist, there's no more religion. Why we migrants still practicing the religion? My dad was one of the first to actually not observe any religion. Became a free thinker. But thank God my mom came to the Lord, and I never really know whether my dad accepted the Lord, but he allowed us to go to church when we were young.
Wow, that's beautiful. So how were you introduced to Christianity?
Actually, 3 of my siblings were already attending a church walking distance to my house. And then one of my classmates invited me to the same church, and I said, why not go and take a look? And I came for the first service. It was more like a Sunday school, and after that somebody spoke to me after the service, and I just gave my heart to the Lord.
That
After
early?
the first service, yes.
And you must have been, what, 8 or 9?
No, that was when I was 15.
Oh, 15. So it was a teenage.
Yes, teenage. Yeah.
And then you carried on?
Yes, I was in year 9, equivalent at the time.
Yeah.
And I've been going to church now for 50 years, so that's how old I am.
We won't give that away. Wow, that's beautiful. And where did you meet Cara, your wife?
In church, actually.
In the same church?
Yes, in the same church. She was actually president of our student club. I was the advisor. And after committee meetings, we just adjourned for a drink, and some went on the food. And so we actually have been together, or rather we got to know each other for a long, long time.
And you studied in Singapore?
Yes.
Both of you?
Yes.
She did law? Or no, psychology?
Cara actually did Bachelor of Arts. She was a school teacher in Singapore.
Okay.
So we actually migrated here on a teaching qualification. Yeah.
And what did you study?
I did banking.
Okay.
Banking and finance. Okay. So at that time when we migrated, I was a stockbroker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got married in Singapore?
Got married in Singapore.
How did you get the courage to ask her to marry?
I guess it's a natural progression because we started rather young. And so it was a natural progression.
Do you remember how you asked her?
I think it was more of a assumed sort of a thing. I don't remember going down on my knee to propose.
No.
Yeah.
And where did you get married?
We got married at Grace Assembly Singapore, which is a church founded by missionaries.
Yes.
The church is now, I think, about 70 years old, thereabouts. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Cantonese-speaking missionaries from China, American missionaries, who spoke Cantonese. They were missionaries to China.
Yes.
So when China closed the door to Christianity, when communism took over, they actually came to Singapore and started the church, and we are beneficiary of these American missionaries.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Today is one of the big medium churches in Singapore. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you came to Australia. You had a massive the downturn of the stock market in '94 has affected you
Yes.
quite badly.
Yes.
You lost a lot of money,
Yep.
and then you made it up again.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really a journey of faith. When I was going through that, I have to say that it was very challenging times.
Yes.
It was very stressful because the market crashed, and I was a self-employed stockbroker.
Yes.
Which in one sense income was good. They call it a remisier. The income is good.
Yes.
But we guarantee the debts of our clients.
Oh.
So when downturn came and my clients defaulted, I've actually signed a guarantee to pay those debts. So yeah, but thank God during those times where there's no internet trading, stockbrokers do make a fair bit of money.
Yeah.
So coupled with property price boom in Singapore, you managed to pay off the debt. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then you decided to move to Australia.
Yeah, so after a while, we sat down and said, what is life after all? We have two growing girls, and Kara was teaching, and I was working, which is a typical Singapore family, and we have a Filipina who stay with us to take care of the girls,
Yes.
live-in housekeeper. So that is quite typical of Singapore families because it's hard to live on one income in Singapore.
Yeah.
So after going through traumatic experience, we reevaluate our life, and I made Kara the offer to come to Australia. She can raise the girls herself. And she said, "Why not?" You know, and she sees on the opportunity. So we actually migrated here.
Did you have connections here, or you just started from scratch?
No, we do have friends here, but no relatives at all. So we picked Perth because way back in 1986, we actually came here for a holiday.
Yeah.
At that time, my daughter is only 1.5 years old. We came here
Yeah.
for a holiday, and subsequently we have been to Sydney, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and we picked Perth. One reason is because at that time there is no such thing as budget airline.
Yeah.
If you fly Singapore Airline anywhere in the world, the stopover to Singapore is free. that was one of the consideration. So yeah, so we picked Perth. Also, it is Singapore is a very hectic place, so we didn't want to go Sydney or Melbourne.
Yeah.
You know? We wanted somewhere where we can live life quieter. And the church I'm worshipping in now, Grace City Church, was actually financed by Grace Assembly Singapore in the early days. Today they are independent, during the starting days. And so when we wanted to migrate, we said, why not pick somewhere where there's a church we know we can fit in?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the main consideration. Yeah.
And obviously, it was Stuart Tan then?
Yeah, Stuart Tan was already a senior
beautiful.
pastor.
What a wonderful man. I know him very well.
Yeah.
Journey with him. Great guy. Beautiful church. And then you were actually part of the eldership there.
Yes, because
And
we
the
were.
secretary.
Yes, I was church secretary for 9 years, consecutive years, and on the board for 11 in total. Actually,
You still are, aren't you?
no, I'm not. I'm not. I got to make way for younger guys. Let them have fun.
You've done your time.
Yeah. So because we were already church leaders in Singapore, Kara and I. In fact, Kara was a lay pastor in Singapore.
Yes.
And we came here, and Stewart checked us out, and months after we arrived, we were made cell group leaders. We were pushed into leadership positions. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad I've served. Yeah, so we have now been in the same church for about 24 years. Now we have migrated. Yeah,
You're very loyal, aren't you?
Yeah, in fact, in Singapore, I've only ever attended two church, Grace Assembly Singapore and Perth. Yeah.
Wow. And your daughters, what are they doing?
My older girl is a lawyer. She left for Sydney for about 6 years, and she's back in Perth.
Nice.
The younger girl is in.
Is it commercial law or corporate?
She does family law.
Family law, okay.
Yeah, and younger girl after graduation, went to Sydney for a year, went to Shanghai for 5 years, and has been in Berlin now for more than 3 years. Yeah.
International business.
No, she does advertising.
Okay,
so
marketing.
she was working for the WPP in Berlin,
Yeah.
and as an account director, and then reckon she has learned enough. She moved on to get another job with client.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
In Berlin, in one of the
Berlin.
darkest spiritual places on earth.
And
It's a shining light.
yeah, I was quite concerned when she wanted to move to Berlin because having worked in Shanghai for 5 years with a then boyfriend, now husband, they reckon Australia doesn't have the headquarters, head office sort of approach. Whereas if they go to Europe, they can learn a lot more there.
Of course.
Yeah, so both of them are doing well in Berlin, and they actually moved there without speaking German, but they've picked up the language.
Yeah, of course. They're,
So they
they're
pick
young
up-
and they
yeah.
love what they're doing.
Yeah.
It must be tough for you from Ankara to have her in Germany, not so close to you.
The good thing is telecommunication has
Of
made
course.
life a lot easier. I think there's daily messages on my WhatsApp with the family chat group. Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. So that helps, and sometimes we would Zoom video and all those things.
Of
and
course.
yeah, and we have been to Berlin 3 times in the
As
last
you
few
do,
years.
as you do.
Yeah.
And any grandkids?
The older girl, the lawyer, has got a son. So yeah, one.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And do they fellowship at Grace Church as well?
They grew up there, but no, not at this time.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about Family First.
Well, I was in a church camp and been church secretary. You know, when there's a camp, the pastors tend to be put aside for counseling, and so we had a visiting speaker who was Andrew Evans, the founder of Family First. So being church secretary, I actually accompanied him for breakfast, lunch and dinner. At the end of the camp, he said, "Henry, I want you to join Family First." I went back and bounced the idea off my family. My girls then were in universities, and they said, no way there.
Yeah.
So it took me a few years, and then by which time they have graduated, and they said, "Oh, Dad, do what you want, Dad." You know. So to Andrew, yes, I agree to run for Family First, and he came along to our AGM. Because he was speaker of one of the governor's prayer breakfast, and at their 20th anniversary, I think, of the governor's prayer breakfast, they brought together a lot of past speakers.
Yes.
And so that was where he actually endorsed me, and I got voted in as secretary.
Yeah.
And was secretary of the WA branch for 5 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Mm.
Great political party. Obviously not enough power out there, but at least a voice in this desert, in this wilderness.
Yeah.
And what year was it? 2014 or what year was it when you ran the campaign? No, it was earlier.
Yeah, it was earlier. Can't remember now.
Would have been 2010.
Yeah, about 2010 all the way to I was secretary for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we merged with Australian Conservatives subsequently. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that political arena?
I've learned a lot of things. For one, if you look at my track record, I'm always a secretary. I'm not the president or the vice president, because before going into politics, I'm more the man behind. Rather than the face of the organization. And when I got involved in politics, I had to take part in debates and talks and so many public appearances.
Yes.
So that gave me the training and the confidence to speak in public.
Sure.
Yeah, and I have to say that those 5 years were a lot of training. Family First used to have a biannual convention in Adelaide, which I attended with my wife and learned a lot from those conventions.
Yes.
And also gave me the confidence to speak in public.
Yeah.
Before that, if you have invited me for this session like that, I would say no.
Refresh. Take us back. What made you start Refresh, the company, the water company?
when we migrated here, Kara gave me one condition: do whatever you want, but don't stay at home. Because if both of us are staying at home, we have not done it since we got married because we're both working in Singapore.
Yeah.
So if both of us stay at home, there'll be friction.
Yeah.
And so we came here. She took care of the girls herself because that was what excites her to migrate here.
Yes.
And I was wondering what to do, and so I actually went to do an MPA at Edith Cowan University, and then but I wasn't prepared to go back to work again, having worked for so many years in Singapore, and so I was looking for investment. Somebody came along with a proposal to start a bottled water company.
Yeah.
So I had the good fortune of having the resources of the university, so I did a little bit of research with the projects that were there. And it so happened that there was actually somebody actually did a project on bottled water.
Wow.
Read that, I said, oh, it looks like there is potential, so I invested. And
So you went as a partner with someone?
yes, there were 4 of us actually. There were 4 of us, and the other 3 are all retired, leaving me to run the show. So I've now been leading.
So they still own shares, but they don't.
2 of them are no longer shareholders, and only one other who was formerly executive director.
Yeah.
So he's still a shareholder. So as the business grew, they cash out. So it was quite a challenge being a stockbroker in Singapore. I always have this dream: why don't I take the company for a public listing? Which we successfully did that in 2006.
Yes. So you brought it on the Australian Stock Exchange.
Yes.
Successfully launched, but then you had a few difficult years.
Yes, because I guess I was a bit too ambitious. We started Perth from scratch.
Yes.
Went on to start Sydney and then Melbourne from scratch.
Yes.
Perth, because we were profitable from the second year on, I thought, oh,
fantastic,
I can do that with the other factories. But then it took a number of years of losses in Sydney and Melbourne. And then when we listed, we raised enough money to go on to buy up businesses in Toowoomba, Kalgoorlie, Brisbane.
Yeah.
And so 2 years ago, we actually bought out the only single-serve bottled water factory in Darwin. So now we have 7 factories. And at one stage, Perth was only profitable business. All the rest were losing money. Perth has been profitable since we started. And, so I got a bit carried away, a bit too confident, and overextended ourselves.
And then you suffered a bit of depression.
And there was one stage when we actually reached a critical cash flow situation where being a listed company, we need to convince the auditor every year that we have enough money to last us the next 12 months. If not, our financials will be qualified. So out of the blue, my CFO told me, Henry, we couldn't convince auditor this year. Oops, what happened? Because we just don't have enough money. I mean, we have enough money for daily activities, but to be able to last for another 12 months. So we the good thing about being listed, there is a lot of expenses, but it's also a lot easier to raise money. Because unlike in a private company, you can invest in a private company. It's very hard to cash out, even if it's doing well. Whereas in a listed company, there's always a market price for your share.
That's wonderful. And how did Kara navigate all this with you?
She has not been involved in the business because subsequently, when the children were more independent, she actually went to do a second degree in psychology. So her mission is more to help people. So
she does that.
Yes,
she does counseling
degrees,
and coaching.
So she does a lot of counseling now. And not interested in business at all.
Which is sometimes good.
Which is good.
What's what's your strength in the ministry at the moment? Where do you focus your ministry on?
I'm more an administrator rather than public speaker. So I am very comfortable sitting on boards and contributing ideas and
governance, accounting,
so,
finance, admin.
Yes, yeah, and so I guess that's why I've been secretary of so many different organizations. But I served a 3 year stint on the governing council of Edith Cowan University.
Yes.
And those are more corporate governance and administration. I did learn a lot.
You also have a heart to equip young people in the kingdom as well.
Yes.
To coach and mentor.
Yes.
Are you coaching anyone in particular at the moment or mentoring?
Not on a personal level, but even in Grace City Church, there was once the youth pastor stepped down.
Yes.
And I wasn't young anymore at that time, but I hold the fort for a while. With the youth ministry, because I was a youth leader back in Singapore. So I'm quite familiar with how those things are run.
Mission-wise or charity-wise,
yes.
you're obviously helping a lot of ministries. Where are you investing in the kingdom at the moment?
Quite a fair bit. I want to thank God that financially we are very comfortable. So I would say that between Kara and I, we help out with about 10 different organizations.
Mm-hmm. What is on your heart at the most, like in terms of helping out? What do you feel? What problem do you answer? Need?
Well, actually, we spread our donations to a number of different needs, homeless, overseas, like Opportunity International, where they help people to generate an income. Not recently, I was trying to recall how many years back, Dr. Kim Tan came to Perth, and I'm glad to be part of the committee that brought him here.
Yes.
And like he said, you don't teach a man, you don't just give a man a fish, you teach him how to fish.
Of course.
So a lot of my giving are also in the area, even though compassion is included in one of those I give.
We have three children that we sponsor as well at Compassion.
We do give to quite a fair bit of different organizations, but mostly to the church.
Do you go anywhere into missions? Have you gone into missions or into ministry overseas?
I did one in Thailand where I threw it in as a holiday. We were in Bangkok for a holiday, family holiday.
Yes.
But Pastor Tan actually suggested, because the church used to sponsor a lepers colony and an orphanage in Khon Kaen and Ban Hit, up in the northeast. So we actually brought the two girls there when they were still in high school. Mm-hmm. And the girls were very touched because they always have ice cream in the fridge, in the freezer. And then we bought the children in the orphanage ice cream, and you see the way they lick the drips, the ice cream drip on the bowl, and they're licking the bowl up and all that. And so like they have never seen cured leper. So we actually went to visit a lepers colony where the people are no longer contagious, but they've got digits,
missing,
hands or legs missing, and I guess they were actually quite touched that we are so privileged. That's why both are also quite generous in the spirit, and like my younger daughter is in Berlin. The first thing she did when she graduated was to do, I think, a 3-month stint in an orphanage in Thailand.
That's beautiful. What's the Lord revealed to you in recent times? What's some new things that the Lord is bringing to you, to the forefront of your vision in this patch of history?
My age, I'm more into helping where I can. So not so much in ministry at this point, because I'm still working full-time job, but both financially as well as encouraging people and all that. Like with the Full Gospel, I've been secretary now for 11 years of the Perth branch.
Yeah.
And so we actually try to get people encouraged, and it is a good session. We have Monday breakfast, and there's a lot of it's easier to bring somebody to hear the goodness of our Lord in the breakfast environment.
So where do you have the Monday breakfast?
It's at Leaderville Sporting Club on the third Saturdays of every month.
Or the Full Gospel?
The Full Gospel,
Yeah,
yes.
and I've been there
Yeah,
once.
you've been there.
I think that's beautiful. And my business partner, he spoke at that recently.
He was a most recent speaker.
Yeah.
And what happened is easier to bring people there to hear about the goodness of our Lord and what He has done than to invite somebody to church, because unfortunately we are so comfortable sometimes, and when you ask somebody to go to church, first thing in their mind, do I really need God? I don't know. I think they would think of that.
Have you had the opportunity to ever lead somebody to the Lord?
Yes, I had. Yeah, but not for a while now. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when I was growing up as a Christian, we actually do a lot of street evangelism, and we go tracting, we witness people on the street, and
Do you meet with a lot of kingdom business leaders in the city?
Not as much, actually. So normally, I mean, I like to know more, because being involved with Full Gospel business, I like to know more of them, but not that easy to identify somebody.
Yeah. I think, looking at you and listening to you as well, people say it's lonely at the top. I don't think it's lonely at the top. I think it's finding the right chemistry with the right people, correct. Because there's a lot of business owners in our city. There's a lot of CEOs in our city who are looking for deep and meaningful relationship with like-minded people.
Yes.
It's just that the question is, who's going to make the first effort?
Correct.
And who's going to sustain that effort?
Yes.
Because most of these people are pursued for something else than themselves.
Yes.
It's always to draw something out of them. Whereas if you came to the table, you come to give, not to take. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the beauty of it. Almost every circle where you go to give, not to take.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of it. And I believe that God will lead you to the right people, the right mix of people, where you can inspire and bless others as well. Now, you have a lot of experience in corporate governance and also in business. I think you have a great potential to impact the younger generation, the young entrepreneurs and business people with the kingdom values. Yeah. What are some of the kingdom values that you found useful and they have sustained you over these years?
Well, one thing for sure is integrity. 23.5 years in business, we have always go by the book when it comes to, for example, employing people, paying them the right salary and all that. And I think it's a lot easier in Australia than in Asia. So we're glad that because we go by godly principles, the Lord has blessed us. Just a good example in business. In the year 2000, we tendered to bottle water for the Water Corporation.
Yes.
And we were the highest of 4 bidders.
Yeah.
And we got the contract.
Wow.
Because we honor the Lord, we were honest in our approach to business.
Yeah.
And over the years, it has been now 21 years, and we are still holding that contract.
Yeah.
So because somehow things were maneuvered by the Lord to our advantage.
Yeah.
And after 21 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So integrity is a strong value.
Yes, I think integrity is
honoring the employees, obviously, keeping your word.
Yeah. Talking about honoring employees, over the many years, We have more than a dozen employees who have left and came back. So I used to joke with people. I say that there must be something right we're doing because sometimes people leave because they've been around for a few years. They
want to change.
A much better offer somewhere else, or they want to change. They leave. And then
So when they leave, you say, "I'll see you back in a couple of years."
Yeah, we actually have. I lost track. I think 13 or 14 employees who left and came back to the organization. Yeah, so we must be doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was invited to one of the staff's wedding with my wife.
Yes.
And I was actually a bit embarrassed when publicly the couple thanked us. They actually, the wife was working with me and left the company, and said that at their point when because the wife lost her job, they almost lost the house because they couldn't maintain the mortgage, and we employed the wife, because of which they saved the house.
Yeah.
I said, oh no. I was quite embarrassed.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess whether we're businessmen or in any other area of our life, we need to display our Christian values.
Sure.
And people do appreciate
Yeah.
those values. Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful. Now, what's the legacy you'd like to leave behind? So when your grandchild thinks about Pop, what should he remember you by?
Well, I think it would be my honor to be able to be a blessing to as many as I can. So thank God, financially we're in a position to bless, and we do try wherever we can to make the world a better place to live.
Yeah.
Not only financially, as you know, Kara is a counselor. And,
Yes.
So I used to be more involved with leadership and encouragement. And if I could mentor somebody, you know, to guide them the road out of sometimes when they're having difficulties or troubles and all that, you know. And so our mission actually between Kara and I is to be a blessing to as many as we can, as many as we come across. Yeah.
To be a blessing. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
It's interesting because when you are a blessing, you are blessed as well.
Yes, definitely.
And I think
in my
the
own
only way,
life, yes, I can testify of that.
so it works, you know, it's almost like a cycle. You're blessed to bless others, and while you bless others, you're blessed, and it's just that beautiful circle that the Lord has created.
Yeah. Because being a businessman, twice in my life, I've got negative net worth.
Yeah.
Literally negative net worth.
Yeah.
And both times I've seen the Lord deliver.
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's good that you go through those because
Yes.
you're very grounded when you're up on the mountain.
yeah, of course it's painful, very painful experience, but it is very good grooming.
Yeah.
And thank God we came out victorious.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story here at Kingdom Stories from Down Under. You've inspired me, and I'm sure your story will inspire many people out there.
You're most welcome, Natanael.
Well, thank you so much for being with us at this wonderful show and to listen to this great man sharing his beautiful story. I believe that just as much as I am, you are inspired by this. And even if you go into negative net worth, even twice in life, God can rescue and bring you into a financial setting that will be blessed, so you can be a blessing. What a tremendous legacy to leave, to bless other people and to mentor and to coach other people and to be a blessing for others. So maybe that's what our prayer should be in this time, that we become a blessing to others, so we can be blessed more, so we can bless others. And that is really, really beautiful. If you enjoy this content and you love these stories, do share this content with others, whether you're watching it on YouTube or you're listening to the podcast. And give us 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, so it gets rated a bit higher, so we can promote this wonderful content. We thank you for joining us, and we can't wait to see you next time at Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
Thank you for joining us on Kingdom Stories from Down Under. We'd love it if you would subscribe, rate, and share these stories with your wider community. And remember, every story is worth sharing, including yours.